Hey everybody, welcome back to Peterson Academy Student, where I am taking you along with me on a journey through Peterson Academy. So today I am going to go through this Jordan Peterson interview on the Iced Coffee Hour. If you've never seen Iced Coffee Hour before, they're a pretty good interview show, so they have a lot of varied guests. So check them out, check out the rest of the interview. I'm just going to look at a part of it where he actually talks about Peterson Academy in it. This was actually like 13 or 14 days ago, so I totally missed it. So let's see what he has to say. Does he have some insider information that's going to give us a better idea of what Peterson Academy has for us? Does it have a better idea? Does he have a better idea on what's going to happen in the future? Let's listen.
So, what course would you say you're most excited for?
Well, of the courses I've taught, the Sermon on the Mount, I would say. Yeah, that's a deadly course. So I did a course on Nietzsche. That was fun. It's half of Beyond Nietzsche.
I'm kind of interested to know what's so deadly about the Sermon on the Mount, but it's a good thing. Well, I'm looking forward to it, but that's actually in the future. I'm actually kind of surprised that that he considers the Nietzsche and the Sermon on the Mount course to be a two-parter. So I'm kind of curious as to how he's going to tie those two themes together. So let's continue.
Evil. I'll do the other half at a different time, but the Sermon on the Mount will be released relatively soon, and that was great fun because it's a wonderful bit of literature to take apart. So. And it is an instruction manual, and it's an extremely useful instruction manual. So it was very fun to go through that.
Yeah, that's the interesting part is I'm a Christian who goes to church, and we just got a sermon series on the Sermon on the Mount. So I'm actually really interested to see what Peterson's take is on the Sermon on the Mount. There's plenty of good life advice that anybody can take from biblical literature. So let's keep going.
If you're teaching and you're genuinely teaching, you're learning when you teach, and that's also the case with the lectures. And I think all the people who are lecturing for Peterson Academy are doing that. And this I've been able.
Yeah, that's you learn when you teach. That's actually really interesting. Because I did a live stream that you guys could check out where I kind of talked through some of what I learned about the Intro to Psychology course. I think I want to do more of those. I try to be better prepared for the next one. It's actually kind of I actually did learn a lot more just trying to go through everything to teach it or not teach it, but go through it on my live stream. So I'm looking forward to doing more of that because it really enhances my learning, and that's what Jordan Peterson said too. So that's kind of cool.
I'm in a fortunate position because I can identify top-level lecturers and thinkers everywhere, and almost invariably when we reach out to them, they say yes. So that's a really good deal. I'm sure you experienced that to some degree with your podcast as you're.
So he's saying, he's talking a little bit about how he creates or how he finds the lecturers to do his things, and it kind of sounds. I know that a lot of people kind of, myself included, it kind of feels like the current lineup of lecturers is a lot of like, in-group Jordan Peterson people, they're not all people that agree with him, but they are a lot of people that he's friendly with. So I'm actually really curious. He says that most of the people they're reaching out to is going for it. So I'm really excited to see like who he's going to get in the future. Maybe he'll get some people that we might not even expect. So.
Success is mounted. The probability that people will say yes increases. And there's a lot of disenchantment, especially among the great professors, with the current state of our educational institutions. And so we offer them a pretty good deal. It's like, okay, here's the deal. Come to our studio. We'll find an audience of people who actually want to hear what you have to say. That's why they're there. And so, and then you can teach whatever you want at the highest level that you're capable of, and we'll pay you better than you'll be paid by your university, and it'll be better than a book deal, and you'll be able to teach more people.
Yeah, so he's lining up, what makes teaching for Peterson Academy a very good deal for people, and it's like you just said, I'm reiterating, but he offers them a lot of money. He lets them teach exactly what they want to teach, which is the interesting part. There's no curricula handed down from on high, at the university level by people who often aren't even teachers, and they aren't forced any particular ideological lens that they have to teach. So they're kind of just given whatever they want to do, they can do it. Yeah. So let's continue.
And will treat you extremely well while you're there. Well, that's a good deal. And so people come down there and they're very happy because they're treated well and they want to come back. And so Larry Arn from Hillsdale taught a course on Churchill, which I think is really funny because, like, are you going to find a course on Churchill at the typical university? I don't.
Yeah, so he's talking about a Churchill course. That sounds pretty interesting. Is that in the future? I haven't. It might be part of the greatest people in history. I can't even remember, but we'll see.
Think so. We had one of the members of the Houses of Lord teach a course on great leaders in history. Like, that's just not.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it must be a different one. So look forward to a Churchill course in the future. Anybody who's a Winston Churchill fan or just wants to know about Winston Churchill. And he's a big leader in his day, so it's good. It'll be interesting to hear about that in the future.
Not happening at the universities because nobody buys the great leader of history theory anymore. Resentful, bloody Luciferian intellects.
It'll be interesting to see what professors will do, exceptional professors, when given free rein to talk about whatever they like to talk about.
Well, that is what you want to see. That's what they're doing when they're teaching.
Bureaucracy and politics that comes with being in a university.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that it's done for me is, so when I used to teach my personality course, I would cover Freud in like an hour and a half. Well, that's not helpful. I mean, I can understand why it's a survey course and all that, but I was going to do a course on Piaget, Jean Piaget, the developmental psychologist, and several other thinkers, but the course just ended up being about Piaget because I had 8 hours and I could just talk about Piaget. So it's quite deep, and I can just endlessly do that, and so that's a great opportunity. It's such fun. And if you're lecturing properly, like a lecture isn't the deliverance of knowledge to, like, the empty shells of the recipients. What you're doing properly if you're lecturing is learning. So
so again, he's talking about learning as you lecture, and he kind of talked about a lot just there. So the idea that you can, in a lecture, you can talk about a certain topic for a really long time. So that's pretty good. I don't know if that specifically counts here because these seem to be 8-hour lectures, so you're kind of have a time crunch there. So we'll see what the difference is.
With the course on Nietzsche, for example, I did the same thing with the Sermon on the Mount. I'd read a section and then actively think about it. It wasn't like I was prepared because I'd been preparing for 40 years, but I didn't have the notes at hand. I wanted the revelations of the meaning to strike me in the moment. That's
See, that's an interesting thing for him to say because, like I was saying, my Christian background, we have this, talk about reading, when you read a section of scripture like he's doing with the Sermon on the Mount, and then you meditate on it and think about it and just take it in, and then you think about it. And that's kind of what he's describing when he's talking about how he prepared for these lectures. And you can. It's not just if you're Bible readers. You can do that that sort of technique for anything. It's the idea of like meditating. It doesn't have to just be like like Buddhist meditation. Where you empty your mind, which that's also a very that's also a good technique. I'm not saying that it's discounted, but you can also meditate on something you read, and that's what he's describing there when he's talking about how he's preparing for these Nietzsche lectures that he's doing. Nietzsche.
Part of that utility of that ability to concentrate on the moment if your orientation is right. So what's the goal? You walk on a stage for a lecture, you think, okay, well, I'm trying to answer an interesting question with the Sermon on the Mount. It would be, well, what's the essential message of the Sermon on the Mount? That's a hard question. It's a central, what would you say? It's a foundational document of the West. And so, well, what is it? What does it mean? Well, let's find out. And then that's the exploration in the course. And it's the same with Beyond Good and Evil. You know, I was taking pieces of it, sentences, because you can talk about any given sentence of Nietzsche for like a month because it's so unbelievably dense.
Yeah, and again, he's still talking about, really thinking about sentences you read and looking into them. So that's cool.
You know, he was very ill when he was writing. And so he couldn't write for long. And so he would think and think and think and think and think and then write one sentence. And all that thought was compacted into that sentence. And then he made like a whole book, many books out of those sentences. It's just incredibly dense and entertaining to unpack. So I'm excited about the course on Nietzsche. And I'm excited about the course on, and I redid my Maps of Meaning lecture series. And I managed to condense it to 8 hours, which is the best.
Congratulations.
It took about 32 hours.
Gosh.
So I think that was the most effective exposition, those ideas that I've managed. Samuel Andreev's course on music has got rave reviews.
Yeah, I've heard some good stuff about the music one. I still have not had a chance to do it. Honestly, I haven't done more than intro to psychology so far, but that's because I'm kind of just doing the same course like over and over, like a couple times just to make sure I get everything.
Jonathan Pageau's a lecturer. Jonathan Pageau is a remarkable person. Everything he says is worth listening to. It's like every word. Every time I listen to him, I learn something new and profound. And that's very rare. You know, I'm at the point in my life where if I read a book, it's somewhat rare for the book to have an idea that I don't know. But then I talk to Pageau, it's like everything he says is something new.
Got to find out what he's reading.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because he really likes Pageau. It's like, I like Pageau. I don't dislike him. Sometimes I find his symbolic lectures to be tiresome, but that's probably because my tiny Protestant brain can't handle the amazing symbolism that he's talking about. But that's just a me thing. So sorry for the tangent there, but I'm sure it's a great course. I mean, people have said good things about it, so I'll probably go through it at some point. I probably will learn some stuff. Maybe it'll change my opinion on some stuff. So we will see.
Find out what he's
Well,
reading.
he's reading like Orthodox literature from the Middle Ages mostly.
Okay.
So it's arcane, which is partly why he also has a tremendous background knowledge of the world of art, and so he can bring those two things together. But that is what he's reading. And so John Vervaeke is lecturing, James Orr, Brian Keating on cosmology. We have a great lineup.
Yeah, so far he's just talking about what's already on the platform. He's mentioned two or three things that are coming, but so that's kind of just what is. I think it's pretty soon here he's going to start talking about what is coming.
And it's such fun. It's such a fun project. Like, we're quite excited at the moment because we put a lot of money into this project, multiple millions of dollars of personal money. And we have no idea if it was going to be financially successful, if it would work. Like, is there...
Yeah, so he's talking about how they were actually very surprised with how many people signed up. He said that this was mostly funded with his own money, so that's kind of an interesting thing to think about. A lot of people probably just thought that, a lot of people think that he's just playing people, and I guess it's just, I don't think you're listening if you have that opinion, but it's fine to have that opinion, I guess. But he is talking about what they're putting into this, and it really feels like, at least if we're going to take him at face value, that what he's saying is that they put a lot of passion into this, and they weren't really sure if it was even going to work. So that's pretty interesting.
Is there a market for it? Who the hell knows? Did we get the price right? It's $450 a year, which is dirt cheap by university standards. We have 10,000
It's 500 now, but that he's talking about the pre-enrollment.
students already in the first week just for pre-enrollment. And it's very likely that we'll be accredited.
So here is kind of a bombshell. He says it's pretty likely that they're to be accredited. Now, it is. I mean, it's important to a lot of people, the accreditation, and from comments, from people talking, people saying stuff even on the platform itself. Like, people are really wanting it to be accredited, and like the way that they said it in the website, it kind of sounded like it wasn't going to be like they weren't expecting to be accredited at all. Because I mean, what was the exact wording? It was like, they're saying that we're trying to get accreditation. I'm paraphrasing. They're trying to get accredited in certain jurisdictions, but if they can't, it doesn't matter because we don't care about their accreditation anyways. Essentially is what they were saying. Not in those exact words, and I might be spinning it a little bit, but that's basically what he said. And it made it sound like they didn't really think that they were going to be accredited. So the fact here that he said that we're pretty sure we're going to be accredited, or what did he say exactly? Sorry, backing up.
Cheap by university standards. We have 10,000 students already in the first week just for pre-enrollment. And it's very likely that we'll be accredited.
Yeah, very likely. So I don't know if that means like 51%, if that means 90%. So we'll see. I mean, it might be that the bureaucratic, people that deal with accreditation don't dislike Peterson as much as I think they do. So that's something to look forward to. Maybe. We'll see.
So I think we'll have the best of both worlds because we'll be able to offer people, I think, the best courses that have ever been filmed, both in terms of content, but also in terms of production quality. I'm very happy with my daughter, Michaela, and her husband, Jordan Fuller. They built this studio, which is a hard thing to do, and they brought in a production team, and they hired editors, and it's really good. The trailers they exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, so here we go talking about who made it. It did kind of seem like a lot of this was. I mean, Michaela and Jordan Fuller. They're really keeping an eye on this project. I mean, they often comment on people's posts on the website, so they're putting a lot of work into this. And he's talking about how they built this studio, how it's they just they bring these people in, they film them, and it looks pretty awesome. So,
which were high. I wanted to be sure that he had the best courses ever, but they're like by far the best courses ever.
Yeah. If it's anything like the trailers.
It is.
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
They are like the trailers. That's the thing, is the trailers are actually, they're not puffery for something that's basically dull. The trailers look like the courses. They're very tightly edited. They're full of illustrations. We got lucky because when we filmed the courses, we filmed all of our professors against a white wall with no edges. And at the same time, these AI systems emerged that could do custom-made illustrations for, if you know how to use them. Every course has its own.
So this is actually kind of interesting to me. It looks like all the illustrations that pop up during these courses are AI generated, is what it sounds like he's saying. He might not be saying that. It might not be all of them, but so they're kind of combining more. They're really relying heavily on AI technology for this stuff. So
its own style sheet, like it's integrated so the offerings have a cohesion, but they all have their own style sheet. They're beautifully illustrated, and we can fill the background behind the professor with commentary and images and words, and that technology only emerged like 6 months ago, so that cool. was perfect timing.
Good timing.
Yeah, so yeah, it really looks like they did use the AI. So that keeps the production value down, but it also takes this. Sometimes I'm a graphic designer and artist, and so just more AI taking art jobs away from people. So that's kind of that's fun if you're worried about the AI takeover, but I guess it works for the people who don't want to who want to spend $500 on their education and not tens of thousands. So there's that.
And the universities themselves are doing everything they can to burn themselves to the ground as rapidly as possible. We hardly even have to market, because every day some university does something cataclysmically stupid and expensive. You know, what are our hopes? Maybe we can educate 1 million people. Maybe we can educate 100 million people. Who knows?
So, I don't know exactly what he's referring to, and he's talking about universities burning themselves down. I don't want to take a specific stance on it, but I don't really like universities either. But it's not, I don't have anything specifically against universities, but it is expensive. And that's kind of what the main draw for me is, like the idea that, in a perfect world, if this gets accredited, if this can actually grant degrees, it'll be a game changer for anybody who's in a position like I'm in.
Right, because there's an unlimited market. The price is very low. It's universally accessible. We're going to be able to translate all the courses into the world's major languages. That's already...
Yeah, they're planning on translating all the courses, so that's very awesome. That's good, because I can see that there's a lot of people from other countries with other languages that are subscribed to this thing. So a lot of people are really excited about it. That price point makes it possible for people in other countries that may not be as financially stable as we are here in America. If we're not going to get into that if we're even financially stable, but whatever. We have money. There's that. So
at hand, there's some expense in it, but if we generate enough capital, that's irrelevant, and we probably will, by the looks of things. I mean, who knows? But 10,000 pre-enrollments in the first week is quite promising.
Yeah, and they had 25,000 before they even joined. Well, pause face right there.
And people have actually been positive about the price. So
it's very inexpensive.
People are happy about the price, which means that maybe we undershot it slightly. But, well, because maybe if you get it right, some people
So
are
where do you
upset.
balance the price on that versus getting more revenue to be able to
it's very
reinvest
hard.
back?
Pricing is very, very hard. I mean, there's a lot of things to take into account, right? Because you might say free. Well, free is a stupid price. Free means your platform will be invaded with parasites and bots, right? Because there's no...
Success rate is going to be very low.
Well, it's just not a good price. First of all, people are skeptical of anything that's free. Second, people don't want...
Well, people were skeptical of this, whether it's free or not. Honestly, the fact that it's not free made people more skeptical in some ways, but it really just depends on the person. Many people were very excited about it. Many people were not. I've seen it both ways, even in my comments, there's a lot of people that are like, this is the worst thing ever, man, I can't believe that he's stealing everybody's money. And then on the other hand, you got these, the Peterson sycophants that are like, oh my gosh, I'll buy anything he does, Anyways, I don't know why the sycophants are talking like that in my brain. And, nothing wrong with being a sycophant, sorry. That's a negative connotation. But people really love it or really hate it. I don't see a lot of middle ground on the opinions. But that might just be because when you're on the internet, you tend to hear all the extreme opinions.
Want something for nothing if they have a moral compass. Third, if the price is reasonable and not too low, then no one who isn't committed will participate. And we have a social media platform that's part of it. And wouldn't it be nice to have a social media platform that had all the benefits of social media, but that only contained people that were actually committed to the ideal, which would be...
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying the whole time, too. That's why I like the social media aspect in Peterson Academy, because everybody who was there paid to be there. Can you imagine if everybody who's on Facebook had to pay $450 to be on Facebook? You think it might be... it's hard to say, but I would figure that it might keep a little bit of the craziness out, but it's really hard. I don't know. I guess we won't know that, but still.
The expansion of knowledge. Well, so the price serves as a barrier that way, right? Because you're not going to do it if you're just casual or you only want to cause trouble. And so that's a good thing. And then You want to price it high enough so that you can expand rapidly and continue to develop, and you want to price it so that if you produce a profit, you can use the profit to generate new enterprises. There's lots of, we want to integrate my son's program Essay, which helps people write. We want to.
There we go. Okay, so I mean, I've talked about it, and I didn't really hear this before, and I think somebody pointed it out to me, and I didn't know what they were referring to. I think this is where they were saying that, because I had asked, actually on one of Peterson's posts, whether Essay would be part of the platform, and I think that would be awesome. I mean, like, I like the idea of Essay. I've seen it. Peterson's son, I believe, worked on it. But the problem, I wasn't going to pay for it, though. That is the thing. But I mean, if it's already part of this platform that I paid for already, then that would be awesome. So looking forward to that if it happens.
Want to integrate that with the platform. And we have all sorts of ideas for growth, and that requires capital. And so pricing decisions are very difficult. The way you solve that is you charge what the market can bear. That's the rule. And there isn't a better rule than that. And why? Because every single person out there who's deciding whether to purchase something is making a very large number of calculations with every purchasing decision. And there's no way that you can second guess that. Like, you can't.
Yeah, oh man, the calculations that were going in my head when I did this, right? Because, I actually signed up pretty much because I decided to do this channel. I actually was like, man, this seems like something that could be something if I sign up for this thing, pay for it, do a channel, but I also have a budget, so like I have to work this into the budget. But the price point that it was, I think that if it had been $100 higher, I probably wouldn't have done it. So it really looks like this seemed to be a pretty smart choice for them to go the $450 for pre-enrolls. I don't know what the numbers are on current enrollments now that it's $500, but I don't think it probably makes that much of a difference, especially now with people in the platform pre-enrolled that can tell their experiences to other people who might buy it. So
can't replace that with some rationalization. So what's this worth? Well, we sort of went for somewhere between $20 and $200 a month. That was the initial parameters, right? And it took a long time to calibrate down to $450. Why $450? Well, it's not nothing. It's more expensive than the typical Netflix offering, for example. So it distinguishes us from them to some degree. But also, if it's successful, it generates enough capital so that we should be able to expand our offerings very rapidly. And capitalism gets a bad name because people are foolish in their conceptions of money. It's like, well, who needs all that money? Well, your typical capitalist, your atypical capitalist, Elon Musk, he's not Scrooge McDuck. Like, he's not swimming around in a money bin full of coins, right? All he's doing with his money is pursuing more opportunities. And
yeah, I mean, like the Elon Musk example, it's like, I mean, if you followed at all his Elon Musk's takeover of X, he actually had to put a lot of risk into that. Excuse me. Now, if he's, it might be easy to say, well, he's rich, he can handle it anyways. But, I mean, people can be made or broken by a single financial decision. So this is, even wealthy people. So that's a pretty valid example.
If you generate profit, then, well, you could live a life of parasitical hedonism, but if you have something that's halfway better to do, why the hell would you do that? We have the opportunity in front of us. We have the opportunity in front of us to hypothetically bring the best higher education has to offer to like 100 million people. Well, how could you possibly imagine anything more interesting and rewarding than that? Like that.
Yeah, and he's talking about, I mean, it is pretty interesting, so
that's what the profit is for. It's like, do I want a Ferrari? No.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because if you really look into it, like the people that make a lot of money and keep a lot of money, they actually, it's not usually the people that buy Ferraris, you know. I mean, some people do, and sometimes they just have so much exorbitant amount of cash that they have to buy a Ferrari, because if they don't spend the money, they're just going to get taxed that much money, you know. It's kind of an interesting thing, but just the idea that profit isn't always a negative thing, you know. Sometimes I think that it can become a negative thing, but it's not negative in and of itself.
Not really. They're too low. I'm old, you know, like I have some nice things. I have some nice houses, and that's good, but you have to put your money somewhere. Mostly we put it into more enterprises, and then it's fun to see if you can make those work, right? Because we bit off very complex problems. Can we bring higher education to many, many people at the highest possible quality at the lowest possible cost? That's a very interesting set of problems. And at the moment, it looks like the answer to that is yes. We have a number of jurisdictions who are interested in accrediting us. And as long as we can negotiate the bureaucratic hurdles.
Yes, there he's talking about people that are interested in accrediting them. So he's making it sound pretty optimistic on the accreditation front. So, you know, I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know if it's just, you know, more expectations getting set too high. But, I mean, if it can get accredited, that would be, you know, that's a complete game changer. I mean, that basically eliminates half of the negative aspects to this. That, and then, you know, the other half is, can they get enough courses to give you a real education, like I mean, not real, but like an education, like, you know, like a STEM topic or something. You know, can it actually offer you, and will it be able to offer eventually enough courses to get you the equivalent of education of a cosmology degree? Let's just say cosmology. Right now we have intro to cosmology, but that's about it. So, you know, pretty interested to see what keeps happening. So
then we should have a full-fledged university, including accreditation, in 6 months. And even if accreditation does...
So he's saying within 6 months. So I guess let's mark our calendars for 6 months and minus 14 days or however long ago this was, so we can hold them to that. So, I mean, honestly, if it even takes 2 years, I would be impressed. I mean, this is a big undertaking. So
doesn't work out because the bureaucratic impediments are too great, we'll just negotiate with corporations to accept the credentialing, because the credentialing will be real.
That's where I think education is going.
Yeah, so he's talking about the credentialing, and, you know, he's saying, you know, that if they don't get accredited, so I mean, he's not making it sound so likely to be accredited that he's not still thinking about what happens if they don't. So that kind of makes me, you know, feel better about his motivations in saying those things. But if he wants, you know, to be able to offer credit, can't talk. If we want to offer certifications, then I mean, there's already certification systems out there, because, you know, you can get like Google certs, you know, like that you can do like a short course and get a certification in like you know, in certain information technology things. So it's not like there's no precedent for employability based on something like this. It's just the scope of it is what makes it a little more interesting, you know, because will we be able to get online certs that are as quality as a full bachelor's degree, you know? That's kind of what we're looking out for. I don't know if it's going to happen, but he certainly is making it sound optimistic, so let's just keep listening.
Going anyways online. Like, I
how
learn
could it
a
not do
lot
this?
from just watching YouTube videos, and I feel like that is the most in-depth that you could get, sometimes in way more detail.
And lots of jobs aren't requiring official, like, college degrees these
Well,
days.
it's partly because the college degrees don't signify what they did.
Yeah.
And will ours signify that? Yes. Oh, well, also, just for the sake of full disclosure.
I mean, yes, I don't know. I need some more, you know, information on that, because if we're, will it signify it? Because the one thing that are not addressing here that I really wish that they would at some point is I want them to explain to me how an AI grading your work is going to be enough to signify like there's people aren't completely bought into AI yet. So, and I'm not really either. It seems impersonal and it seems kind of silly. So I get that it's keeping costs down, but the fact that sure they pay these professors a ton of money to record these courses, but they're not grading your work. If you go to a real university, even if the main university system is garbage, there are still good professors, and they still care about you as a student, and they actually, if you are proactive, they can actually work with you. You can actually talk to them. I can't ask Dr. Keith Campbell a question about psychology after I listen to his lecture. So that's something I wish they'd address. I don't know if he might address this. I doubt it, but that I guess this is kind of a side tangent. But we'll keep listening here.
Disclosure, let's say. There's two pathways you could walk down if you enroll in Peterson Academy. You could just take courses, like you were listening to YouTube videos, let's say, or you could take the exams and walk through the accreditation process. You don't have to do that. And we actually don't know what the comparative market is. A lot of people have asked whether they could take the courses without the exams. Now, so we don't know if the exams are, like, will it be 25% of the people who actually want to work?
See, I don't know where he's talking about with this. I mean, I have heard people ask that, but I think I hear more people asking, is this accreditation happening and is this certification helping? So, I mean, it's pretty obvious that, because if all you want out of Peterson Academy is to be able to watch lectures, well, they've delivered 150% on that, because we have 18 lectures. They're all really good, I mean, that I've watched. So that's kind of it kind of seems like a moot point to talk about at this point. But he is talking about it, so we're listening.
Towards accreditation, or 10% or 60%, we have no idea. It could be quite low, because it could be quite a low number. Don't know. Depends on how many people just want to learn for the sake of learning.
Now, I am curious about this. Do people retain information better in person?
No, I don't think there's any evidence for that. I don't think we know enough about the situational determinants of retention to decide. I suspect there are factors other than in-person versus remote that determine retention.
Probably distraction is my guess.
Sure, and level of engagement with material, something like that. So, but no, I don't think that's a problem. Well, the other thing too is that most.
So, they're not. I mean, this is an interesting topic. Like, yeah, you can learn a lot from online courses, like, especially if you're geared towards learning for the sake of learning. Not everybody is. Some people are more like utilitarian. I'm a little bit more utilitarian in my learning. Like, I do like learning, but I would rather have an application for my learning. That being said, this is fine. But it's not about retaining information being in person. The thing about in person is, again, like I just said, being able to actually interface with the professors that are teaching you. So that's what I'm worried about. And other people might not be worried about that, but we'll get into that. So
university lectures are very low quality. So at the typical university, especially the bigger universities, the research-oriented universities, you get along quite fine and be a terrible teacher. And so I would say at the typical large.
See, I think he might be overstepping a little bit, because I mean, the bureaucracy is what makes universities so bad. We hear horror stories about bad individual teachers, but that doesn't mean that every individual teacher is bad. I can see that, from his perspective, it's all bad, because, he's been burned pretty bad by the system. So I understand that. So, I'll give him grace on that. I don't really care that, specifically, that he's sort of blanket condemning most teachers in the university system. But the teachers might.
state school, 5% of the courses are high quality, and then 40% are okay. And then, there's half that, it's just death to sit through. And there's no excuse for that. That's another thing that we can do at a minimum, is raise the bar for the universities.
So what he's talking about here is leveraging the leveraging the power of capitalism against the university system in order to increase the level of their learning. And I've seen a parallel here in the debate between private and public education, because it a lot of people want like school choice, and a lot of people say that takes money away from public schools, but then there's another argument that supporting, private schools and giving people the option to people who can't normally get into private schools to be able to, that they might be able to create more competition that can increase the quality of public schools by merit of they will have to, or else they won't survive. So he's also kind of saying that if we can create this situation in the universities where these online lectures are so good and they force universities to step up their game. So that's a good thing, depending on your perspective.
The universities, the Ivy Leagues, they could have done this 20 years ago. It's like, who are the best lecturers? Because the other thing about in person, if you're lecturing to 1,000 people, it's not in person. You know what I mean? At some point, there's so many people there that it's impersonal. It might as well be replaced by video, as far as I could tell.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, actually, because if class sizes get so big that it is impersonal, then there really is no difference with online learning. So that's a good point.
In fact, you can listen to video at twice as fast. Yeah, that's a big deal, or 4 times as fast. You can review it. Our exams are set up in a very interesting way. So
that's another good point as well, that these lectures you can watch multiple times. So if you miss something, you can just watch it again. I've gone through the Intro to Psychology lecture, and I've listened to every single one of those videos at least twice at this point, just to make sure that I'm catching everything. Also because I listen while I'm working, so I miss a lot just because I'm distracted.
So multiple choice exams, but each question will be time-stamped with the lecture. So if you get the question wrong, you can just go to the lecture and you can find out. So you'll be able to use the exams to teach you.
That's actually news to me. I didn't notice that. I'm going to have to look into that.
Right. And so, it's very exciting. We've got another 50 courses lined up. We're going to produce at least 3 a month, and we might be able to ramp up past that.
Oh, good. So we're saying that we can do even more than 3 a month if it goes well. So that's exciting. The faster we can, if we can get accredited in 6 months, like he claims, then the faster we can get more courses, the better off everybody is.
And we have some wild plans in place too for lectures that I can't discuss yet, but we have some truly revolutionary ideas. And I don't say that lightly. And they're very likely to occur, assuming that the enrollment rate continues.
Yeah, so we're hearing that we're going to get some revolutionary lectures. I really wonder what he means by that. I mean, I honestly can't even think of what would be so revolutionary just as a lecture. But, I mean, I'm willing to be surprised, pleasantly surprised here. So let's keep it going.
So I'm very happy about it. It's gone better than I could have hoped. Actually, I was quite stunned by the trailers.
The trailers.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you can't. Those trailers were something.
Yeah, they're deadly, and they're all like that. Like every single one of them, it's like they're punchy, they're cool, they've got this, like with Greg Hurwitz's course, it's on narrative construction because he's a novelist. It's got this film noir look, pulp fiction look from the 1950s that's cool. The music is well timed, the editing is really tight. The trailers are coherent, and the professors we have great professors.
Yeah, these guys, the Iced Coffee Hour guys are very clearly Peterson fans. Nothing wrong with that. I'm a Peterson fan most of the time. So, they really like the trailers. He's always like, those trailers, man, those trailers. It's good to be excited about stuff.
And I think that where we're going to set up a system where we find the best professors in the world and give them carte blanche to teach what they want. That's such a good deal. So,
Have you considered having a financial literacy course?
oh, definitely.
Because I think
that's
that
something I
is
would love.
very
Oh, definitely.
important.
Well, I also want to bring on to the platform economists from the Austrian school, Mises and Hayek, and teach people the basics.
Yes, now we're asking about financial literacy, which, you know, that would be pretty good. I mean, having some good economics courses on there would be really nice. I mean, honestly, I don't understand economics at all, and I'd like to. So, you know, I'm already have Peterson Academy. So please, guys, bring me an economics course, not just the economics of human flourishing, because that's not technically an actual economics course. But I mean, it might be. I haven't watched it. But yeah, let's continue.
The basics of free market exchange. And
I
that's
would
so
love
necessary.
that.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
that's definitely
That's it.
But also modern day literacy is
Definitely.
Just
extremely
everyday personal finance. I
yeah.
feel
Well,
like
and
is-
not only personal finances, but like an orientation towards financial management and success.
Yes.
You know, like people think, for example, that profit is a dirty word. It's like, well, that's insane. Profit is what enables you to grow. Like that's just, if you have that attitude towards profit, basically what you're doing is punishing yourself morally and ideologically for doing your job well.
Yeah, that's, you know, they have already talked about, you know, the profit. I don't think everybody hates profit. And I think most people like profit when they're getting profit. They just don't like it when people they don't like get profit. You know, it's really upsetting when people find out that, you know, say we don't like Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson's school got 25,000 pre-enrollees at $450 a pop. That's like, you know, a cool few million, right? But like that's terrible because Peterson, you know. But I hope my endeavor, I hope it makes a ton of profit because I'm the good guy, so my profit's good. Their profit's bad, you know. I think that there's really more of that aspect to the hatred of profit, but there are some people that just don't feel good if they make profit, you know. Or if you're a non-profit and you're making profit, that's a little sus, right? But you know, nobody ever said that these guys are trying to be non-profit, you know. But universities supposedly are not for profit, but with how everything's ballooned there, you know, it's kind of a trick. So I'm rambling now. So let's keep going.
Well, that's going to demoralize you. So that's not good. It's like pick a hard target, figure out how to solve it, offer the best services you possibly can. And if you can generate money, that indicates you're doing it efficiently and you can take the capital and go do something else interesting with it. And there's no end to that. Like there's no end to the number of courses we can offer and the number of professors we can bring onto the platform. And obviously, as it's successful, you know, it's going to be even easier for us now to attract high quality lectures because we can say, well, this is what your course will look like. And this is how many students you'll have. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that, you know, now that we've got some proof of this concept that it should hopefully, you know, get us some more things. What I'm really interested to see is, are we going to get like a professor that just hates Jordan Peterson? I think that would be hilarious. Like just hates him, but winds up teaching a course on this platform. Like, cause I mean, maybe one of these people do, but I don't think so. I've looked, all the lectures I've looked into are at least neutral towards Peterson, you know? So that could be pretty interesting.
Who the hell's going to say no to that if they actually want to teach? It's such a good deal. You know, if you write an academic book, you're lucky if 5,000 people buy it. Like really, that's a major success. And maybe half of those read it. Well, with a good course, maybe you'll have an audience of 1 million. It's 1,000 times more successful. So yeah, we're very excited about it. And it looks like it might be working. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's working. You know, I want to see some numbers on. I mean, this is back when he had 10,000 pre-enrollees, which I guess was already past his expectations. I wonder what he expected. But in this respect, you know, he's pretty optimistic. So now that we have 25,000 people watching, well, I don't know if they're all watching, but they all paid. So, if we have 25,000 people that are watching these lectures now, and I'm really interested to see the numbers on who's enrolling now, like after the post enroll, the people that aren't even going to get access to this until September 9th, which is 8 days from today when I'm recording this. So that's more stuff to look forward to. I'm really looking forward to hearing some stats on that.
And soon we're going to have monthly payment structures, and I'm going to negotiate with corp.
Oh, cool. Monthly payments, yeah. So like, I paid bulk sum, so I know a lot of people would rather have monthly because they're paycheck to paycheck or something like that. You can come up with, it's easy to come up with $40 a month, but to come up with $450 or $500 all at once is hard for a lot of people. It's only possible for me because I budget, a year in advance. So
Corporations to offer scholarships. And so, one of the things we'd like to do is find the 10,000 smartest young people in the world, right? Because there's all these developing countries where there are.
Yeah, this is an interesting idea. So we could get scholarships, and now he's talking about finding, like actually actively finding talent, to give access to this education. That's pretty interesting. Let's see what else he has to say about it.
Geniuses lying latent here and there. Their cognitive resources aren't being utilized. There's some Elon Musk in India in some poor family. Maybe he'll never have the opportunity to move ahead and to offer the world what he could offer. We are in a position where we can be able to find people like that. I'm going to go to corporations and say, like, buy 1,000 scholarships. We'll screen people. We'll bring bright people in from all over the developing world and educate.
I love that.
Then we'll be able to hook them up with potential employers.
So I wonder how I really wonder how you would find those people, though. I mean, they're definitely out there, underutilized resources. People in other countries that are geniuses, maybe live in a hut somewhere and don't really get to do anything. Maybe they're just really bored because they're just doing, farming or something that they aren't really the most fond of. But how you would find them is what I'm interested in. How would you do these screenings to find this hidden genius? The idea is great. I don't know how you do it, but we'll leave it to the smarter people to figure out how to do that.
And we'll set up a platform where we shouldn't be able to identify the smartest and hardest working people in the world. It shouldn't be that hard to hook them up with employers. It's like, look, they're stellar. They work hard. They're committed. They're all in. They're educated. They're not ideologically addled. It's like, you want to hire them? Would you pay for the privilege of hiring them?
That would be incredible to utilize your tests with employment. That you could basically just select, hey, these are the people that we believe are the most qualified based on our rankings.
Right.
And just have them there.
Right. Well, that's
such an efficient society where it's like, yep, you just pick and choose like that person.
Right.
That would be incredible.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, that's been a dream since 1992. I talked.
Yeah. So, he's looking into this. So, I don't know exactly how I feel about. I mean, I don't know if necessarily doing a bunch of Peterson Academy courses proves that you're hardworking. I guess it probably does, because if you're doing a lot of courses and you're doing them all quickly, I guess that would prove something. I don't know, but we'll see what that goes on. Anyways,
talked to my partner Daniel about building an online psychometric battery that would enable us to find the smartest people in the world who don't have any opportunity. It's like, we don't want to let that kind of genius go to waste. That's foolish, deadly foolish. What's one person like Elon Musk worth? What's he worth? 150 billion?
Uh-huh.
Maybe there's 1,000 people out there like that.
Yeah.
Because there could be.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Jordan.
All right. So that's the end of him talking about that, and I think it's actually he talked about this most of the way through the interview. So we're gonna leave it there. So I hope you guys got something out of this. I know that this kind of a couple of things in here kind of changed the way that I kind of think about it. I'm seeing that he's more optimistic about the accreditation than I am. So what he knows that I don't. I don't know. I'm not an insider. I don't like talk to any of these people, so I'm just kind of theorizing from outside. So if he can, if he can be trusted, that makes it sound like accreditation is more likely to happen than I thought. So that's really cool. Um, Other than that, I would strongly suggest that you go see the Iced Coffee Hour. Subscribe to them. They're fun interviewers. They get a lot of good names in there. So and they do long form discussions. This one was 2 hours long. So there's a lot in here that's not Peterson Academy. I think this started most of the way through the thing. So there's a good hour and a half of additional stuff that Jordan Peterson's saying in here. So check out the Iced Coffee Hour, and I hope you guys stuck with me on this one. This was a pretty good little interview, and I will see you all soon. Got more content coming up in the future. So keep it real. Let's get our thinking and learning caps on. Peterson Academy student signing out.